How have you been?
I've been good. Weather's been turning nice. We had a couple of cool days, so there wasn't a little humidity. I know you're getting a nice day, an unexpected day. So,
Yeah.
how you doing?
It's weird. I never thought that I had any seasonal depression, but I feel like the older I get, I
Yeah.
notice that my mood is very much correlated to the weather outside. And I like I like gloomy days occasionally and snow days and all that. But as winter really draws on, like I need that warm weather, that sunshine. Is if the sun's shining, my mood is just fantastic. So today, as you mentioned, we're having a great day. So I woke up, saw the sun shining, and it was like, ooh, it's gonna be a great day.
Oh, yeah. I see that big smile on your face. I mean,
Oh
every day
yeah.
we wake up's a great day, right?
No, 100%. I
Yeah.
mean, don't get me
Well,
wrong. Like
you just
the,
feel better.
the logical part of me is like, yeah, man, like I've got food in my fridge, I got a roof over my head, me and my family are healthy, like no complaints, all is well. But there's that more primal internal lever that gets flipped on or off based on
You
the
mean the
weather.
10,000 years of genetic engineering that humans have in us that we try to ignore but still affects us to this day?
Yep,
Ah,
exactly.
got it.
Exactly.
All right. All right. Just wanted to make sure we were on the same page there. Yeah. I mean, once you leave Wisconsin, like I did in 2013, when did you leave?
I left initially in 2011 and we came back in 2021.
Okay. Yeah. You were a Cali boy for a long time.
I know, man, and it ruined
And
me.
yeah.
It totally ruined me. But as you can tell, I still rep.
Oh, repping 100%. I knew that I had to leave. So I went to play Minnesota State Mankato for 1 year of football. And like, didn't necessarily want to go to that school. Got injured my senior year. Everybody kind of went away. We all have a sad story that we would have went pro back in the day. Back in the day. But like I was sitting there, I was preparing for a game, and it was like a 2 o'clock game, and I think the Badgers played at like 11 or something like that. And I was just like sitting there at my locker, and I'm like, man, I wonder how the Badgers are doing. And somebody's just like, fuck the Badgers. I'm just like, what? I'm like, I love the
Whoa.
Badgers. Yeah. But they were all upset because I was wondering about the Badgers when we had a game, and I'm just like, y'all, this is D2 football. But that's when I knew I shouldn't have been there. I was just
Yeah,
like,
no doubt about it. I love that
damn it.
your heart was still in like the Wisconsin boy mentality, even though you're up in the
Oh, through and through.
land of less
10,000
lakes
lakes,
than
even though
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin has more lakes than them.
I was
Yeah,
just gonna
I
say the
said it out
land of
loud.
less lakes than Wisconsin.
Wild.
Yeah.
Absolutely wild.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Naming ponds, lakes.
Christ. Yeah.
But
Good
anyways,
times.
neither here nor there. How has training been? How has eating been?
Dude,
How have things been going
let me
nutritionally?
tell you what. So, at the end of last week, I was feeling run down as we discussed.
Yep.
I got to Saturday, still not feeling too good. Spent extra time, I went and got myself in the morning. I'm just like, you know what? We're going to buy in. Walking down the Schnucks, it's a local grocery store here in St. Louis. And I'm just like, Pop-Tarts are on sale. It's like Eric did mention Pop Tarts. It's
Oh
like
yeah, baby.
my what is it? Reticular activating system, the RAS. It was just like Pop Tarts. Like it just couldn't get it out of its head, out of its mind. Right? Like you hear it once, you see it once, and all of a sudden you start seeing Pop Tarts everywhere. So I'm just like, I'm going with the wild berry because wild berry is definitely my favorite.
Oh,
Followed by
right on.
the chocolate fudge one. So I spent the $2 on a package of four. Ended up eating it pre-workout. Felt pretty good, getting a little bit better. Eating it post-workout. I know that's still like 72 grams of carbs, I think it is, for two pastries, and they are pastries. But it was just like, okay, feeling a little bit better. Just went for a walk, so I only did one big session. Sunday, took it really light and easy, and then made sure I hit like my carbohydrate goals, but didn't have the pastries because I didn't move much other than walking. Right,
Yeah,
it was
good
just
call.
steady state. Right, didn't want to spike those sugar levels. Get the insulin response, good stuff like that. So, but then come Monday, dude, dude.
Feeling good?
Feeling good. And this whole week, I've just been on it. And
Sweet.
there's definitely a couple of factors. Like obviously, last weekend, like I needed to recover, and, buying into getting those extra calories, extra carbohydrates, things like that. And, buying into the system. Funny how that works. And we started this men's group on Monday. We're doing, it's 100 days of like accountability. So like doubly on fire and just hitting my workouts, feeling good, feeling strong, feeling fast. Like,
Good.
I'm feeling good, man.
Good. That's really good to hear. Yeah, the buy-in with the carbohydrates can be tough. I think, even me, like when I first started learning about the importance of these higher carbohydrate loads, there's that part of you that is like so warped by everything you see online and everything you've been told growing up. It's like, wow, that's so bad for you. Like you're going to get diabetes, or all that added sugar is going to give you cancer. And then when you start to really dive into the science and understand how it's being metabolized in your body, and you start to trust that, okay, like, it's been so much research conducted on the topic and it works. So why not just try it, right? Because the risk is really low. It's not like all of a sudden I do this for a week and I have diabetes the week after, right? This
Exactly. That has to be extended period of time over consumption, right?
Yeah, it's like years of being sedentary paired with years of eating way too many carbohydrates, especially refined carbohydrates, in the context of not pairing it with fat, protein, and fiber, right? So being sedentary plus basically added sugar or, white bread. And the combination of that will wear out your internal system. But when you eat healthy and you exercise every single day, right, your body is primed to deal with things like that. And sugar then just becomes not a risk, but actually a tool. And when you trust the process and then you experience the outcome, which is improved energy or just that training session that you just crush and that it's because you fueled right, the more times and the more reps you get in experiencing that, the more it really starts to change your internal belief system. And then you build a better relationship with carbohydrates and then those foods that, they're not health foods, right? Pop-Tart's not a health food. It's junk food. But to me, it's more of especially when I'm working with an athlete, it's a tool. And it's a tool that can be leveraged to better your performance. In addition to that, how fun was it being able to like be cool with buying Pop-Tarts and like eating them guilt-free?
Dude, I'm telling you, I was still just walking around the store, like, being a built guy, like, you always think people are judging you. And, like, this built guy walking around with Pop-Tarts. I'm just, like, I still kind of, like, put them to the side, like, hit them behind the tortillas. Like, I don't really want to set the standard that I'm eating Pop-Tarts every day. But, I kind of have to get over that kind of stuff because it was awesome. And I love wild berry Pop-Tarts. Can't do cherry anymore. Had those every day growing up.
That's my go-to.
I can't do a cherry Pop-Tart anymore, but wild berry and the chocolate fudge, they're phenomenal. And I'm very thankful, sometimes with humans you just need permission. Like you need permission to go chase your goals, dreams, and aspirations. You need permission to, sometimes quit that job that's making you miserable. You need permission from a coach to have the food that's going to fuel your goals. And I thank you very much for not only giving me that permission, but also through the education factor of the modules that you had me go through with the pre and the post nutrition and the supplement nutrition timing, not supplement timing, nutritional timing course. Like, it really drove home the importance of it and the timing of it as the module said. So thank you very much for that.
Yeah, 100%. So on that note, before we go through like wins, challenges, action steps, what is the last module that you made it through?
I made it through, since we last talked, hydration, micronutrients, and that timing, nutritional timing.
Any questions on the content?
Not necessarily. It was all pretty good. On the hydration one, I couldn't view the video at the end. So... Yep, and then on the nutrient timing one, I couldn't view the third video, which is post-workout, I believe.
Okay.
Just for you to know right now. But I went through a couple of the equations. I went through the 1, 2, 3 model. Then the kind of the basic. I did the based on calories consumed for hydration, and I did the sweat rate calculation and stuff like that. So also just off my body weight. So we'll go through some of that. But I kind of wanted to ask you this before we really dive into what we're doing. Have you ever seen Waterboy?
Of course.
Okay, just making sure.
Of
You know,
course.
you know,
Classic.
uh, why do people say carbs are the devil, as the mama would say?
Are
I
you
was just curious. Like I was laughing at this because I was in the gym. I'm just like I feel so good, and I'm just like just repeating in my head. I just hear the water boy's mom just like carbs are the devil. And I'm just like no, they're not. I'm just like I feel so good. So I know this is a little bit off track, but I was just kind of curious, I know why, but can you just explain a little bit more kind of why carbs get a bad rap?
Yeah, I mean 100%. And this isn't new. This has been around for a long time, and it goes. There's always this debate, it seems, between fat and sugar. It's like fat's bad or fat's great. Sugar's bad, sugar's great. And then there's like no limelight on the people that are like, well, they're both necessary and like can fit into anybody's diet. The reason that especially lately carbohydrates have been given such a bad reputation, first and foremost, is probably the obesity epidemic, the rise in diabetes, type 2 diabetes specifically. And then in addition to that, this strange correlation that people think that sugar, leads straight to cancer. So we can kind of unpack all of that. So like I always say, everything has to be viewed contextually, right? Context really matters, right? In all situations. So if we look at the American population, okay, the amount of people that are sedentary, that do not get at least a 30-minute walk in a day, that don't hit 150 minutes of moderate intensity exercise every week, is extremely high. People just don't move a lot. We've built a civilization to reduce all physical challenge in our way. I mean, think of the amount of people that they wake up in the morning, right? Then they hop in a car and then they go work an office job and they hop back in a car, drive home, and then they sit on the couch and watch TV, right? I mean, like 10,000 steps is a lot for a lot of people. So this inactivity is huge. Okay, that's not normal for human evolution. Like we are built to move. So being sedentary isn't in our nature. So we've got that as an issue. Then we've got carbohydrates, but not all carbohydrates do the same things within your body. So if you look at complex carbohydrates, something that you'd find in nature, right? Like a piece of fruit or even a potato. And a potato, this simple complex, we can talk about that a little later, but we'll use potato as a complex because it's technically a polysaccharide, okay? So long strings of sugar units bonded together, if you can picture that in your mind's eye. Well, when you eat something with fiber in it, it takes our body a long time to, snip the individual sugar pieces out. So it leads to this more controlled glucose rise, which it requires it's not as taxing on the system that will help clear that sugar from your bloodstream, right? Relying primarily on insulin. So we have in the American society, in addition to being sedentary, a lot of refined carbohydrates. So now we've taken this complex carbohydrate found in nature, like a whole grain or a piece of fruit, and we put it through a processing, plant or whatever. It's milling the grains. It's mashing the fruit into pulp. It's essentially taking work away from your body. Okay, so that's an important point. Okay, I'll come back to it. So now you've simplified the carbohydrate. So instead of your body taking time to mechanically break down this food, a machine's done it. Now we've got these simple carbohydrates, things like single sugar units, the monosaccharides or disaccharides, right? Like sucrose, which is table sugar, so ultra refined, okay? Well, those, because your body doesn't need to do much work, they get digested really easily, right? They'll empty out of your stomach quickly, they'll enter your bloodstream really quickly, and that causes the steep rise in blood glucose that now insulin needs to deal with. So, two things about the mechanical digestion. One, it will make the carbohydrate more simple, meaning it'll get absorbed quicker. In addition to that, your body's doing less work, meaning you literally burn less calories digesting it, right? And in the context of somebody chewing, right? When a machine does it, it does it perfectly, right? Everything's simplified. When you chew, if you don't chew all the way, some of that doesn't even get digested. So that's why people, absorb more calories from ultra processed food because, there isn't that piece you forgot to chew that passes through you. So people are absorbing more calories from these ultra processed foods. They're consuming less fiber, which helps slow down digestion and helps your body really deal with it in the appropriate amount of time, and they're sedentary. So all of these things done repeatedly over the course of years, of course, is going to lead to things like consuming too many calories than you actually need because you're not burning a lot and now you're taking in more. Without fiber, you don't feel full that long. I mean, you could drink an exorbitant amount of calories through like soda and then be hungry, 30 minutes later. Your body doesn't feel full even though you took in all these calories. So that leads to A, obesity, right? And then B, when you overtax that system that relies on insulin to clear the sugar, can lead to things like type 2 diabetes. So that's why carbohydrates get a bad rap. They get a bad rap because, yes, your body is responding to carbohydrates. The problem is people don't think logically through why it's actually happening. It's not
What?
the carbohydrate.
People don't think logically? What?
Exactly. It's not the carbohydrate that is
not in the United States.
I know. And this is my daily struggle, right? Trying to explain this to people. So it's not the carbohydrate that's bad. It's the being sedentary, the form of carbohydrate you're consuming. And that's why, going back to what we initially talked about, an athlete can use sugar, right? The same idea that sugar, when it's really processed and simplified down into its monosaccharide or disaccharide constituent parts, okay, that's great for an athlete because if you only have 30 minutes to consume carbohydrate that you're going to use for fuel, you don't want it sitting in your stomach for a long period of time. Right? You're not worried about staying full. In fact, quite the opposite. You don't want to feel full. You want the carbohydrate in your bloodstream so it can be used. So now that same principle that makes carbohydrates, or should I say ultra processed carbohydrates, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to use the word unhealthy. Let's say not ideal for a sedentary person, make them ideal for an athletic individual. So that's kind of the main reason carbohydrates get a bad rap, because people associate them with obesity and type 2 diabetes, but they don't take that next step to really logically think, and take it to a deeper level. The cancer argument is a little bit more nuanced, right? Because people think that if you eat sugar, it's automatically going to create an acidic environment in your body, which then promotes cancer because they say, oh, cancer can't live in an alkaline environment. Of course, that is just a major oversimplification, right? It's not, again, not like you just consume sugar. Now, all of a sudden, my body's acidic, right? There's a whole bunch of other factors that go into play. And yes, in the context of living in a toxic environment, being sedentary, and eating an overall poor diet, that sugar is certainly not helping. And it certainly can lead to a more cancer-promoting state. But if you exercise well and do all these other healthy lifestyle factors, sugar is certainly not just going to give you cancer, right? It's not like some virus that is going to infect your body and put you into this disease state. So everything needs to fall into place, right? And then sugar has its place. And that's the same with all nutrients, right? There are no good or bad foods. It's where do they fit, right? And are you living a lifestyle that allows you to enjoy those foods that are less ideal for overall health, like Pop-Tarts, right? And yes, did that answer?
It really did. And I really wanted you to explain that a little bit because it really hit home working through the modules when you were talking about apples, right? So apples at their core form with the outer layer on there, like really high fibrous foods. It looks like it's high in carbohydrates and sugar and all this stuff, but it's actually really, really good for you. It's a piece of fruit, right? And then you take it down to applesauce. So the main apple is going to take a lot longer to digest than the applesauce form. Applesauce form still has a little bit of fiber in there. You were talking about it in a pre-workout sense. You don't necessarily want to eat an apple in a pre-workout sense because it has higher fiber and everything else in it. But now a little bit as you get closer to a workout, but still far enough away, you can have the applesauce. Well, if you're about an hour out, you want that apple juice because it's that basically pure sugar, and it's milled down from the apple, squashed to the applesauce, then refined into the apple juice. And I really like that, and I think that was something that I kind of wanted to hit on.
Yeah, I'm glad that you pulled that out. I was actually like, when I came up with that analogy, I was like, "Ooh, all right, that was a good one."
It's a good one.
I want people to think of the process of refining food as essentially just digestion, right? Again, we're taking machines that do what our bodies are capable of doing. So if you look at, the apple to apple juice, or you can take like whole grains, like picture wheat kernels, and then picture white bread, right? That went through the milling process. It stripped all of the high fibrous material away from the grain, and it left it with a very refined product that your body can now digest really easily. There's a time and a place for foods like that. But for people that aren't active, they're not athletes, right? They're sedentary. No judgment. I mean, yes, of course, I'm biased towards at least hit the minimum, right? At least hit that 150 of moderate activity every week, minimum of like a 30-minute walk every day. But if that's all you have time to do and that's all you're going to do, that's okay. But be realistic then with your food choices, right? Our food choices need to be reflective and fuel, our level of activity. So in that case, the majority of our carbohydrates need to be complex forms, right? Those high fiber options, all whole grains, fruits, vegetables, legumes, right? We have less justification to reach for those ultra processed refined foods because they're not really going to be great for our body. And it is going to put a little bit more demand on our system, right? On our pancreas to secrete that insulin. The point that I mentioned a couple times, I didn't fully explain about, how insulin clears sugar. Let's talk about that a little bit for the listeners. So insulin, okay, is essentially a key. When we eat carbohydrates and it gets broken down into those single sugar units that then circulate through our bloodstream, okay? Sugar in our bloodstream is not good. We want to clear it. If sugar remains in our bloodstream for too long, it does damage to our arteries and veins. So we want to clear it, okay? When we're not exercising, so if we're just sitting still, okay, the only way for our body to get the sugar from our bloodstream inside the cells where it wants to go is insulin. Insulin is the key that unlocks the doors. The doors are these transporters on each of our cells, okay? The cool thing about exercise is another key. Okay, so there's other doors on our cells that open only when we exercise. So in the context of us exercising, we can consume much higher carbohydrate loads and simple carbohydrates, but it doesn't cause our bodies to work harder in regards to the insulin system, right? So independent of insulin, we can clear all the sugar out of our bloodstream just from exercise. That's why somebody goes to the doctor and they're like, hey, you have pre-diabetes. Like, we really gotta, get a handle on this. Lifestyle change is one of the first things we can do because exercise, they know, is so helpful to clear sugar out of the bloodstream. So again, don't sleep on that 30-minute walk or that 150 minutes of, moderate activity. Like, obviously, I'm talking to you. You're in a different ballpark than the average American. But for anybody listening to this now or in the future that is like, oh, well, I'm not like Sully. I'm not going to be running the Norseman. Like, I am the 30-minute-a-day walk guy. Like, that's cool. Like, use it, right? And just understand the importance of exercise and clearing sugar from your bloodstream. That system is important to understand. Can
I cut you off just 1 second?
Yeah.
That's why I made it known earlier in the podcast that, hey, on Sunday, I didn't eat these high ultra processed sugary foods. I had my sweet potatoes. I had my apple, the things that do take longer because, hey, guess what? I'm not always a go until you die type of athlete. Sometimes on my off days, I'm walking, I'm rucking, I'm getting some extra need in where it is low tempo. And so people can see me doing all this crazy stuff, but that doesn't mean that I'm doing stuff every single day that's different than what they should be doing,
right,
or that's ideal for them. Like a 30-minute walk and then making good, healthy choices on that day is a game changer. And you do that over and over again, and all of a sudden your body looks different, you're feeling better, you're moving better. I just wanted to get that, I wanted to drive that point home. Is just like you, as you mentioned, like I do a lot of crazy stuff, But on my off days, I'm taking that 30-minute walk and I'm making healthy food choices because I know that I don't need those Pop-Tarts, you know?
For sure. And it's, man, like, obviously, like, I'm preaching to the choir talking to you, but to me, it's just so obvious the importance of being in good physical health and the importance of exercise. Because
Oh, it's the hack. It's the hack for everything in life.
It is the hack for everything in life, right? So physically, okay, if you build more muscle mass, okay, you burn more calories just existing.
And you can
any
eat
given
more.
point throughout the day, you're burning more calories because muscle is metabolically active tissue, whereas adipose tissue or body fat is not. It's not burning calories, it's just sitting there. But muscle tissue burns calories, which means at rest, I'm burning more calories than somebody exactly my same weight, same height, but they have more body fat and less lean mass than me. So it's just like, man, exercise, exercise, exercise. You don't need to be a freak about it, but it definitely needs to be a priority if you want to stay healthy. Man, it drives me nuts, the laziness essentially that I see all the time, like especially, and this is going to be an overgeneralization and some of my personal bias coming out, but I just hate seeing all these commercials for GLP-1s. Because is there a time and a place for a GLP-1? Sure. Like I'm sure there's plenty of instances where like, hey, that's like the best solution for this problem. But so many people are just using it like a cheat code, right? Because they're unwilling to eat properly and exercise, even though those individuals have the time. And it's just this cultural trend that's not surprising, right? It's no surprise that Americans are just freaking lazy.
Unfortunately and fortunately, that's capitalism working. Like they see a market, they market to the market.
100%. And people are just eating it up, man. And it's so sad to me because, and I pulled this out of a commercial yesterday, right? Me and my wife were, winding down at the end of the night, watching an episode of some TV show, and a GLP-1 commercial comes on and it goes, lose up to 14% of your body weight. It doesn't say burn your body fat. It says lose your body weight. Well, guess what we're seeing? Yeah, so many people are losing lean mass because they're not eating. And part of that is they're not eating enough protein. So now you're losing body weight, but part of that is lean mass, this metabolically active tissue that's so important. And we know that it is highly correlated with mortality risk later in life, right? More lean mass is a good thing. Less lean mass is not a good thing. So it's just like exercise, exercise, exercise. Oh my gosh, I cannot tell people enough, like you just have to stay fit. Find an excuse to get a walk in, right? Just any excuse you can to be active, be active. It's just going to make your life so much better. And again, it doesn't need to be crazy, right? Like to your point about Sundays. On my rest days, I love putting my feet up, man. Like I have a stand-up desk, but on my rest days, I do a little bit more sitting. Like I'm really letting my body just fully relax, and it feels great. It's like a good balance to the exercise from the week, and I think you enjoy it more, and your body just feels better. Anyways, we can get off this pedestal. Like I know,
off the pedestal. Just one more thing from like the meathead side of things. Actually, two more things from the meathead side of things. Right? Is number one, like nobody wants to be skinny fat. And that's what happens when you're losing your weight, but you're losing your lean body mass. And that's why it's really important to understand, like, am I losing body fat percentage or am I losing lean body mass? There's a big difference. And that's the point to get coaches and to do it. I would say if you're going to be on a GLP-1, ask your doctor to work with your coach. That way you guys are kind of all on the same page. Because like you said, there is a time and a place. Number two, just from like another, like I said, like I bring the meathead into this conversation, right? And I mainly come from an aesthetics backed world, and this kind of goes back to carbs are the devil, but not really. Now,
really quick, just because I want to add one movie reference, it's like the Finding Nemo, the sharks. It's like carbs are your friend. Carbs are your friend.
Not not food. Oh my God, I love that actor that has that voice that does the voice for the shark. That deep voice. Good. Oh my God. Thank you for that. I love me a Finding Nemo reference. I use the turtles one all the time. You totally rock, dude. Squirrel. Anyways, all right. So, what I used to say before I educated myself was, The reason that we play with carbs, we go up and down with carbs so much, is because protein is essential for bodily function, fat is essential for bodily function, carbohydrates is not. Now, do carbohydrates make you feel better? But carbohydrates, your body can get energy from fat, which it can, and when needed, it can make protein into energy. So what do you have to say on that topic? Because that was the way that it was originally explained to me, and for so long I failed my clients because that's what I was working with.
Okay, give me 2 seconds while I pull up a quick clip.
Yeah.
Can you hum some elevator music while I find this?
Absolutely. The crazy thing is about this is that it works, right? Like you set a high protein goal to make you satiated, so you're not necessarily hungry all the time. And like you drop your carbs all the way through the floor, you're going to drop body weight and you're just going to drop weight altogether because like you're not going to retain water or anything like that. So like it does work, but guess what happens when you start eating carbohydrates again or you get off your diet plan? It comes back.
Of course. So really quick.
I sent you this.
For simple cognitive functions, you need them.
Boom.
I sent you that like the first week we started working or something like that.
I know it's classic, and I like reference it a whole bunch. So let's talk about what all these macronutrients are doing. We need protein because it's the only macronutrient that provides nitrogen to the body. So it is absolutely essential to function. Now, the human body's amazing, and it has evolved to use different fuel sources to sustain our everyday activity. Our two primary fuel sources that we're using for energy production, ATP production, are fat and carbohydrates, okay? So that means our brain can run on both, right? So if we're in ketosis, meaning we eat primarily and exclusively pretty much fat, like carbs are less than 10% total energy intake. If we're true ketosis, like less than 5%. Well, ketones then become our body's fuel source, including our brain. Ketones can cross the blood-brain barrier and allow us to, as Ryan Gosling said, cognitively function, right? Whereas our body's preferred fuel source is carbohydrates, which is glucose, okay? So glucose is normally what fuels our brain. But throughout the day, you're burning both. You're burning carbs and fat. So fat is also very important it allows us to absorb fat-soluble vitamins. It's really important for the building of cell membranes and hormone production. But carbohydrates are also really important. In fact, if we think when I think carbohydrates, okay, I think when most people think carbs, it's like, I'm cutting carbs, like I'm getting rid of bread and pasta. Like when I think carbs, it's like colorful fruits and vegetables. Like I'm like, in my mind's eye, picturing this beautiful produce array at a grocery store that just has every color possible. I'm thinking like tropical mangoes and papaya and pineapple and really rich dark green leafy greens and broccoli. All these things that are giving me fiber and phytonutrients and vitamins and minerals, things that like just make my body feel amazing. So that is where carbohydrates really are important. But in most people's mind, like especially in the physique world, right, they think this macro-centric view where it's like, oh, okay, they're just calories and I'm just cutting out those carb calories because it's sugar calories. They're not thinking on the micro level of vitamins, minerals, fibers,
black and white, baby. Black
so
and
on
white.
and so forth, right? So, yeah, when it comes to weight gain and fat gain and all of that, right, like it's all about energy balance, baby. It's all about energy balance. And as long as you're staying within energy balance, you're going to maintain the body physique. It's the protein that we find to be the most critical component of that. So for example, okay, and I won't dive into this because this could be a whole episode and I end up talking about it anyways quite a bit. But everyone wants to do what I call the holy grail, okay? They want to lose body fat and gain lean mass, right? Of course, like literally every, like who doesn't want to do that?
Absolutely.
Okay? So there's actually some new research that just came out that I've been diving into. It's been great. So we've known for quite some time that it's possible, okay? So the last study, and so full disclosure, haven't read through all of the findings yet. I just kind of read the abstract and the preliminary findings that came out. So what they found is like a 10% caloric deficit from maintenance is like the sweet spot. And then protein is elevated, okay? All the way up. I want to say it was between like 2.2 and 3.0 grams per kilo. So they're keeping protein really high, but they're in a 10% calorie deficit, okay? Carbs and fat, it's not like they were eating all fat or all carbs, right? It's still a healthy balance, right? It's in ratio. But overall, calorically, they're in a deficit, and they keep protein high to make sure that they can not only maintain lean mass, but actually build a little bit of lean mass. The calorie deficit means their body's burning more calories than they're taking in, okay? So, of course, a fuel source that's going to be used to burn fuel is going to be body fat. That's how it works. But yes, your brain can work on ketones and glucose, okay? But carbohydrates are providing a whole bunch of other stuff other than the substrate for ATP production, right? We can't overlook all of the wonderful micronutrients that are being provided from these colorful fruits and vegetables and whole grains and legumes.
Yeah, and if anybody wants an example of what to eat in that beautiful color plate that that Erik is talking about, go follow at Grunt Grub on Instagram because he posts it every damn day.
Posted
Shameless
great
plug.
breakfast today.
I don't care. Every day it looks beautiful, and I'm like, God, I need my plate to look more like that.
So that is just the explanation for, why we need, why we should include carbohydrates in general. We haven't even touched on their role in athletic performance. And I know we've talked about this in previous episodes, but that is such a key fundamental principle for an athlete to understand, is that to get energy, right? To go at your absolute max effort, okay? We're talking like close to 100% VO2 max, or at 100% VO2 max. Your body needs ATP to move, to function. You cannot generate ATP from body fat at those high intensities. It doesn't work physiologically. Your body is using carbohydrate, right? And if you didn't fuel with carbohydrate, it's pulling from the only carbohydrate source it has, which is stored glycogen. So even, this is another fun point, right? And we could spend a whole episode talking about this. So even if you cut, like people on the carnivore diet, you cut out like all these carbs, right?
Oh gosh, yeah.
Your body knows that it likes carbohydrates, right? It likes glucose. So your body has this incredible process called gluconeogenesis, meaning it can turn other macronutrients, protein, into carbohydrate. So some amino acids can be converted into glucose, right? Your body could technically fuel itself from glucose, even though you fed it amino acids, right? It's taking all of these, if you can picture these chemical components like Legos, and rebuilding them into carbohydrate. So even on a carnivore diet, your body's still using carbohydrate.
It's like, no. We
bread
need
and pasta and things
we need
like
to bring
that.
this back in.
I know, it's wild, right? The problem is that process is really inefficient, right? Like it's just way more efficient to get carbohydrates from carbohydrate sources instead of making your body create carbohydrates from protein. So as athletes that want to perform at high intensities and really max effort outputs, we need those carbohydrates. That is how we sustain that movement. And talking about nutrient timing, I want you to think of your pre-workout nutrition as part of your recovery, right? By fueling pre-workout, we are ensuring that our body has adequate fuel so it doesn't rely exclusively on glycogen. So it's got a glycogen sparing effect, meaning by the end of your workout, your body then has less work to do, right? It has less work to do because it doesn't need to build as much glycogen to get you back up. Okay, so your pre-workout is essentially part of your post-workout recovery plan, as long as you're fueling appropriately. So that's a really important point to understand. But yeah, I mean, I could talk about carbs all day. I mean, it is a constant battle because what happens is a research study will come out on carbohydrates, and the population in the study are like average Americans that are sedentary. And it says, oh yes, this low carbohydrate approach was better for, insulin sensitivity and things like that. And then somehow it bleeds into the athletic community. And not only does it bleed into the community, but now it's been warped into a clickbaity title like carbs will thrash your pancreas, or you'll get diabetes from carbs. And athletes are like, whoa,
got to make people scared.
Or the research is like carbs make you fat. Especially female athletes that are really, conscious about that. They're like, I gotta be careful. And then they undereat and they Underconsume. And that's
Also,
like
if
10
I could butt
different
in,
points we could talk about right there. Body image, carbs.
what's crazy about that is like a lot of performance athletes and even aesthetic based athletes, like what they do is they cut their carbs, but then they increase their protein, right? And realistically, if you take a step back, look at it from a scientific view, they are actually the same amount of energy, right? So it's 4 calories per gram of carbohydrate, 4 calories per gram of protein. So you're throwing protein out when realistically you could keep your protein lower, increase your carbohydrates, which guess what, people, it makes you feel better and it makes you perform better. And you're still burning. It takes the same amount of energy to burn each of those.
It does not.
Oh, ooh. So I'm wrong. All right. Tell me more.
Yes.
Because
So
I'm looking at it as 4 calories per gram, 4 calories per gram.
Yes. But
This is why you're the coach.
Exactly. Thank you. So I'm glad you brought this point up because this is another important point to understand. And, we can talk about what contributes to somebody's total daily energy expenditure because that's an important topic. But today, maybe we just talk about one of the components, okay?
Yep.
And that is the thermic effect of food. And this is why those high protein diets are often recommended for weight loss. And for those physique athletes that are really trying to recomp their bodies quickly. So protein has a super high thermic effect. Like it burns a ton of calories just digesting it. So when your protein is high, you're leveraging this thermic effect. You're burning more calories. The thermic effect of carbohydrates and fat is really low. Like they get digested really easily and don't require a ton of energy to actually burn. Now you're correct from a caloric standpoint that yes, carbs and protein are both contributing that roughly 4 calories per gram. But yes, technically protein will burn more calories digesting. So if we're looking at it like a net balance, the net calorie contribution would technically be less from protein because you burn more calories digesting it. Now, the thermic effect of food when it comes to your total daily energy expenditure is still relatively low, like 10, 15% of total daily energy expenditure. Like your planned exercise and non-planned exercise are way bigger contributors, okay? But that's why for like sedentary people or people that are like recomping, which means typically if you're tapering and you're in this phase of like extreme body comp change, okay, you're eating in a caloric deficit, so your training should definitely not be max output. Like you're not making performance gains when you're in a caloric deficit. You might make body comp gains, right? Like, hey, we're losing fat, gaining muscle. That's what we want strategically. But I would never put somebody in that if they were in like one of the peak training blocks of their program. Because when you're in a peak training block where your training is really high intensity and hard and pushing your body to the limits, you need all the fuel you can get. So for a lot of people that are sedentary, so the average American, okay, and even athletes that are in this down period where they're recomping, yes, output's going to be lower, and then we can sacrifice calories and put them more into this body comp changing macro split where it's higher protein, lower carbs and fat, technically, right? Because I'm not worried about them, running their fastest and getting PRs because that's not what we're doing right now. The mission isn't PRs. The mission is body comp. Does that make sense? So the thermic effect of food is that principle. And that's why a lot of people have that high protein.
Mm-hmm. All right, cool. Yeah. Thank you. I love getting educated. Because I've known the thermic effect of food, but I've also barely taken it into account, honestly. And when we're talking about performance, it's just like, man, if I could balance out this protein a little bit and bring these carbs back up just a touch, like you're going to feel better, you're going to operate better, and you're going to have better workouts.
Well, I mean,
so it's just
like we've talked about in a couple episodes already, like your lean mass is there. Like you've got the muscle you need, right? So we're not worried about making lean mass gains right now. We are way focused on performance. We want you to have max output, right? So as long as we can keep protein just high enough for you to maintain, that's what we want, because every calorie we can take away from protein and put into carbs means you've got more energy. Right? So instead of, let's say, going 1 gram per pound for protein, which is 2.2 grams per kilo, that's like the higher end for an athlete. And we can drop you down to like 1.8 grams per kilo for protein, right? Just enough to preserve your lean mass. All of those extra calories that we took away from protein, we can put to carbs, which means you've got more gas in your tank to perform. And that is the balance, right? And that's where every person's goals matter, right? We've got some people that want to recomp. We've got some people that want to run ultra marathons. We've got you running the Norseman. We've got some people competing in strongman. That will shift where your macronutrients are allocated, essentially.
See, and I love that. And I think that's the perfect opportunity for us to pivot into the coaching session with what I'm doing as where we're going towards the Norseman. So whatever we're doing, it's working because I dropped another pound. It wasn't as substantial as like that 3 pounds that I dropped in the initial phase, which is quite all right. What? You cut out for a second. You're still gone. It's okay. I love seeing gains because like even though it's not as substantial when we made the first tweak, right? It's initially 3 pounds dropped, and that could be water weight. That could be timing of day that I weighed myself. Hell, that could be if I was wearing anything or not. I hear you now.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. And now this last week, which is our second week after our initial adjustments, I dropped, I was about to say only a pound, but dropping a pound a week is pretty substantial. So, and right in line with what I want to do. I don't want to lose too fast. I don't want to, gain. So like, I feel like I'm right in alignment with what is sustainable, and we're still seeing progress. So I'm down to like 201 like 0.4. I mereasured in this morning.
That's solid, right? And when we make like a bigger drop, so once we reach like 5 to 10 pounds drop, we can reassess your total energy intake too, because obviously at a lower body weight, your body technically requires less energy input. And if we want to be really calculated about that, we can be. Because you are slowly recomping, we've got plenty of time, but your overall focus is still performance. Like, even if we go a week without dropping any weight, like I'm fine with that, because to me that indicates that, hey, you're at least fueling properly. If you kept dropping like substantial, like, oh, I'm down 5 pounds, would be like, ooh, okay, fine. We're reaching our goal, but we probably left some performance on the table in getting there. So I think the trend we're seeing is very acceptable. I think we're right in line. And to me, what's most important about what you've told me so far is that your energy has been really good, especially compared to last week. So you upped your carbohydrates, you started buying in a little bit more, you gave your body adequate rest, and this week, we're already 4 days into the week, you felt great. That's the goal. We want you to feel good all the way through Saturday, right? So that you shouldn't feel broken after every workout, right? I want you to go into each day feeling as close to 100% as physically possible. That is doable. It's another good point to listeners. You don't have to feel thrashed after every single workout, right? Like, you should feel good.
I've
going
made this mistake.
I feel
I've
like
made
that's
this
a
mistake
big reason.
so many times.
Yeah, and how many people do you think like get turned off from exercise because they go and do some HIIT class, right? And that's just like way more than their body's ready to do at the time. And they just grind through it for a couple weeks, and then they're just smoked. They're like, I can't do this forever.
I'm a very, I mean, I'll say it humbly, but like, I'm a very in shape athlete. I did this last week. I crushed my legs, and they were sore from Tuesday to Saturday. And that played into like, oh, I need to take Saturday and Sunday to like recomp. Like,
yeah, and just listen to your body.
You
got to recover.
Yep. So like even the in shape athletes, like in shape athletes can do this. So I just wanted to say like 100%, like you shouldn't feel that way. If it's taking you 4 days to recover from a workout, you need to adjust your sets, reps, and intensity.
Yeah, work with a coach, right? Pay the money and work with somebody that is going, or get on a prepaid program, right? That I'll just plug Modern Athlete, right? There you go. Like, get on something that is designed by people that know what they're doing to give your body the appropriate amount of volume, right, and tension that your body can adapt to. Because if you're just going to go and exercise willy-nilly and you don't have a plan, it's a recipe to get burnt out, to, injure yourself. And
or quit.
Yeah, or quit. Absolutely. And I think
which is the last thing we want. That's
the last thing we want. Exactly. Oh, man. I
I love talking to like-minded people, about like that. Again, it's kind of an echo chamber. I fully am aware of that, but like it is, I'm just so passionate about people, eating healthy and exercising because
And making it sustainable.
making it sustainable, of course.
Like our job, me and you see this the same way, and this is where, we match up so well. And obviously, like I said, I come from the meathead world, you come from the science-backed world, and we're both military. Woo!
Yeah, so I was a meathead back in the day too, right? I didn't even really know what fiber was back when I was a Marine, right? I'd go in the gym and I'd be that guy lifting weight that was too heavy for me, doing, just whatever.
100%. And like, but if you look at the graph of us, like overlapping, like we both want to work ourselves out of a job by teaching people how to sustainably exercise and eat nutritiously for the rest of their life. Like that's our goal.
Yeah, I think deep down we're on the same page, right? It's probably why we both served in the military. Like, I love community and this country. And like, if our country and our communities are in healthier places, it's better for everybody. Healthcare costs go down. Everyone's happier. I truly believe the mental impact of being healthy is really strong. I feel like, the day-to-day violence that we'd see on the streets would go down because people just feel better. And that is better for everybody. But
Couldn't agree more.
we could probably carry on with that conversation for a long time. So before we go down that road, let's get back on the coaching track. So a lot of wins so far, which is great. What have you found challenging nutritionally?
Yeah, the pre-workout carbohydrate and still working on the post-workout carbohydrate.
What are
that
some options? Like, walk me through what you've been doing pre and post.
Yeah, so pre-workout I've been finding a bagel. People always make fun of how I say bagel, but a bagel. It's like a French toast. You can have a French toast one. I had a blueberry one the other day. Had a cranberry one the other day. So they're about anywhere between 50 to 58 grams of carbs, and then on top of that, I've been eating like and this is only because you told me to up it, coach, because you want me closer to that 91. Grams of carbs because I'm 91 kilos, right? The 1-2-3 method.
Yeah. So let's unpack that really quick before we continue.
Yeah.
So the 1-2-3 method is a really good method for how many carbohydrates to consume pre-exercise. The caveat is your training status and the training session itself do matter. So you're a highly trained individual. So if your training session is like an hour long and you would say it's like a regular exercise session for you, you don't need to consume that many carbohydrates pre-workout. That rule is really better used for events that are going to take like 2+ hours, like a traditional sports game or like a really heavy session. Like let's say you were going to go do a Murph, right? And even though you're highly trained, you're just going to perform Murph as hard as you can go.
So much.
Super high intensity, high carbohydrate demand. That would be a great time to use the 1-2-3 rule. But if it's going to be a run-of-the-mill exercise session, and that for you may be something more extreme for somebody that's sedentary. But for you, if you're like, yep, that's like a pretty standard session for me, you don't need to worry about that. Like you can fall typically in the range of like 30 to 60 grams of carbs.
Oh, that's
would be adequate for your
beautiful. That puts my mind so much at ease because I was like, so I've been getting around 54 to 60 grams of carbs because I eat it with one of the honey stinger waffles, right? So 2 + 2, right? And it gets me in that range.
On the bagel?
It's plain.
Oh, well, there you go. If you like honey or jam, now's the time to top that bagel off.
Then it would also help me save from buying the honey stinger waffles. Like, why supplement when you can add some honey to it, right?
Especially if you can get a good quality honey. So, like, honey is another food that has a ton of nutritive benefit, especially if you don't heat it. Like, when you put it in tea, a lot of the compounds get inactivated, essentially.
And local honey can actually help with allergies.
There you go. So now you've got your delicious bagel with some local raw honey on top, and your carbohydrates probably going to be right in that 30 to 60 gram sweet spot.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good.
Okay, so that makes me feel a lot better because I was like chasing, like looking at this 91 and I never hit it. So
that's fine. That's a lot of carbs.
That makes me feel a lot better when it comes to the 1-2-3 model.
Okay.
And just a quick rundown. So it's you take your weight in kilograms, and if you're an hour out, you eat a 1-to-1. So I'm 91 kilos, so I eat 91 grams of carbs. If I was 2 hours out, I can eat 182 grams of carbs, up to 182.
IHOP pancakes, lots of syrup, fruit on the side, or a glass of OJ.
Yep, and getting her ready to go. And then if I'm 3 hours out, I can have 273 grams of carbs to
one
prep
sitting.
me for my workout, right?
Yeah,
and
baby.
and that allows being further out allows the food to digest a little bit more, and then being able to clear that digestive tract prior to working out. Of course, as I'm getting closer to working out, I don't want my stomach to feel full, so we lower that amount of carbs. So that's the 1-2-3 method. Did I explain it correctly?
You absolutely did, right? And this is a great, like, before the Norseman, we're going to use the 1-2-3 method. Like, your pre-workout breakfast that on the day of is
Oh, it's
going to
be epic.
Like, we are going to absolutely get your carbs as high as possible. It's going to be awesome. And we're going to have tried that breakfast several times prior to the event. So you know that it's going to digest well. Everything's going to be trained. You know your body's ready to take it on. But yes, so I'm glad that puts your mind at ease. Now, post-workout, because you're in a tapering phase technically, you want to bounce anywhere between like 0.5 to 1 gram per kilo post-workout. And you just judge that based on your training intensity. If it was a harder session, you go towards the 1 gram per kilo. If it was an easy session, even a moderate session, 0.5 to 0.8 grams per kilo, that's going to be your post-workout carbohydrate load. Because again, this is now recovery, right? We're trying to rebuild our glycogen and make sure that we're ready for our next session. And your body is primed post-workout to rebuild glycogen. It is that process of rebuilding the glycogen is optimized in that 30-minute to an hour window immediately following your training.
Yeah, and that's where working with you, the getting out of that meathead mentality of that anabolic window of hitting it with that protein right away, because like I used to double up, 2 scoops of protein and my post-workout carb. But now you basically want me to invert it and even lessen the protein even more. So 10 to 15 grams of protein. And then, my post-workout carb has 43 grams of carbs. So then you basically want me to double it on high intensity days. 43 grams of carbs will be, pretty good. That's about that 50%. On just normal or low intensity days. So the hardest part for me is to limit the amount of protein after a workout and continuously have those carbs.
Right, and you're still going to get that protein. You're just not going to do it like
I just eat it.
Yeah, not immediately following the workout. Like at the hour mark, go ahead, hit that protein target. But the point we're trying to do, especially because you're now training endurance, is, on an endurance run or a long bike session or swimming session or run, you're not breaking down a ton of muscle tissue, but you're expending a ton of carbohydrate. So then our focus isn't rebuilding muscle tissue, it's rebuilding glycogen. If you were to go and hit a heavy weight training day, right? Yeah, you still burn some glycogen. That carbohydrate's still important, especially because it's gonna help with the muscle protein synthesis too. Then you could hit the protein right away, no big deal, right? You could still wait an hour, but it's not really gonna interfere with anything by consuming it right away. But on those endurance high intensity days, yes, we're trying to really be specific and target the mission, which is glycogen replenishment, rather than muscle rebuilding. Because we're saying, what did this session do? Like, what happened to my body? What needs rebuilding? What needs repair, right? Refueling is the main mission after one of those endurance sessions. Whereas, again, if you're in the gym, breaking down muscle tissue on a heavy resistance training day, yeah, we want to provide our body with some immediate substrate, amino acids to start rebuilding in addition to the carbohydrates.
Beautiful. So that means I'm definitely happy that we went through this because my mind's put at ease. A lot more of, working post-workout and pre-workout nutrition. So I'm thankful for that. So cool. Where do you want to take us?
What have you been doing post-workout?
I hit my 1 scoop of ignition, and that gives me, like I said, 43 grams of carbs. And then normally I drive home, which is about a half hour, and then I have like a tortilla. It has about 24 grams of carbs in there.
Okay. So totally your call. The ignition's great, immediately post. At that 30-minute mark when you get home, that would be a good opportunity to now start getting some protein in the mix, right? Because like, again, immediately you had the ignition, like your body already is taking that and it's going to start using it for rebuilding glycogen. 30 minutes, 45 minutes, that hour mark, now you can start looking at getting a more balanced meal, getting more of those nutrients back in. Because you've got high targets throughout the day, which means you got to take advantage of every opportunity your body's hungry and you can actually fuel to get some nutrients in. Another thing you might want to consider trying now, right? So we can start getting practice with it is some tart cherry juice.
Oh, I just had that today. Remember?
Oh.
Oh yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
All
Before we started, I was talking about. Well, I had cranberry juice. So you said tart cherry juice. I'll have to give that one a go. I know you have a favorite brand, so if you want to send it my way, I'd be happy to
Yeah,
give it a
so
go.
it's Cherry Bundy, you know, and it's again like if you don't want to, like on a cost basis, it's probably the same price as if you get a good quality one in a glass jar from your grocery store. Okay, the convenience factor is they mail it to your door. You can get the ones that are in like these nice little pre-dosed bottles, and it's a high concentration of tart cherries. You might pay a couple bucks more in the long run. To me, it's worth it. If you don't want to spend the money, no big deal. I've got no brand affiliation for those listeners with Cherry Bundy. I just personally like it. I think it's a great product. But yes, that tart cherry juice would be a good addition to your pre-workout. If you drink one of those little, I want to say it's 8 ounces. I'll have to double check. Either way, it's like 25 grams of carbohydrate. You could even do your ignition with the tart cherry juice. Okay, now you're at like 60 grams carbs post, solid. And then you could water it down if it's a little too tart.
Yeah, that'd be a little sweet.
Yeah,
But
it would be sweet.
I'm fully in to try it. I love trying new things.
I also sometimes, depending what flavor of protein powder you use, I'll mix tart cherry juice with my protein powder. So instead of mixing it with like milk or water, I'll just mix it with water and tart cherry juice, and then it's like a good post-workout, like convenient snack.
Beautiful. Love it. And I have a feeling that would help me with my sweet tooth too.
Oh, yeah. So it's good because that tart cherry juice has been proven to help with delayed onset muscle soreness. It's high in melatonin, so it improves sleep quality. All things that are really important for your recovery. And it's carbohydrates, which you need anyway. So it's like multifaceted tool.
Yeah.
It's a multi-tool.
It's a multi-tool. What do you know? It's a Swiss Army knife.
So, okay. So we're going to make some small adjustments to your pre-workout. Good. Numbers are feeling better. Post-workout, same thing. Small tweaks. Overall, how the diet's been looking better, at least from what you've been sending me and I've been seeing on Instagram, right? You're getting that color and it's great. You made the tortilla change, which is great. You incorporated some fun foods like Pop-Tarts. So good shifts, all good shifts happening. So between now and next week, what are your main missions other than your small tweaks between pre and post workout?
Unrelated to what we were talking about, making sure I get to bed at an earlier hour. I've been going to bed at like 10, getting up at around 4. Would rather see that either stretch out on front end and back end realistically. So I want to be in bed at 9. And I do like getting up at 4. I like getting a jump start on the day, but more than likely it'd probably be better off if I got out of bed at 5 to allow me for that longer recovery window. So I'll work on that. Devices down at around 8:30, in bed by 9:15, ready to go to sleep. That's something that I want to work on. Taking advantage. I mean, I walk every day, but are supplementing vitamin D. So ensuring that I'm getting it naturally now as well. So getting outside, especially with the UV indexes, making sure that I'm absorbing everything necessarily for that. I do have to take my omega-3 more consistently. I was doing really well, and then all of a sudden I fell off, and now it's kind of been sporadic. So I think out of the last week, I hit it 3, maybe 4 times when I want that. Because
honestly, that's still not bad. So again,
yes,
your body needs more than the average person, but the general recommendation is to eat, high omega-3 fatty fish at least twice a week. So even if you're getting omega-3s 3 to 4 times a week, that's still double the general recommendation. So I know you want to get it every day, and that's a great goal. But I want to at least put you at ease a little bit that you're not bad, like still really good.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Of course. Sometimes you got to pat yourself on the back.
I say that every Friday. Shout out to Flex Fridays.
Tomorrow, baby.
Yeah, buddy. Can't wait. I love me. It's one of my favorite days of the week. And then let's see here. What else do you think I should implement?
Yeah, so one homework assignment that I'm going to want to see is I want to really start getting some diversity in your diet and making sure we've got a lot of great options. So I just want you to give me a categorized list of your breakfast options, pre-workout options, post-workout options, and then like main entrees, lunch, dinner,
Okay.
and then snacks, anything that you're eating in between main meals. And I want to make sure that you're not just eating the same thing every week, every meal, right? I want to make sure you've got a lot of options to go to. That's okay. If we find that that is the case, then we're going to start incorporating some new ideas.
All right. Sounds good. I can get that for you. No problem.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So everything's moving in the right direction. Weights headed in the right direction. Fantastic. Energy levels going up. Weights going down, energy's going up. That's a huge win. We can't overlook that accomplishment. That's
we win.
Fantastic. So things are going good. Obviously, if you have any questions, reach out. Continue to work through the modules. We can spend some more time next session talking about hydration, making sure that's fully dialed in. But yeah, man, I think we're in a really good place.
Beautiful. I really appreciate your time today. Before we go, tell the people where they can find you.
Yeah, baby. You can hit me up at GrunkRub on Instagram. That's where you're going to get a hold of me the fastest. You can check out my website, grunkrubrd.com. But these days, honestly, just DMing me on Instagram is probably the best way to get in touch.
Beautiful. I love it. And trust me, folks, that if you want to work with Erik, like, be ready to work, be ready to learn, and he will get you going in the right direction one way or another. He's a great guy, and I'm a testament to that. He's helped me out a ton. To find me, it's Sully Luepke, at Sully Luepke on Instagram, X, Twitter, Facebook, whatever the heck. I'm most active, if not always active, on Instagram, so that's the best place to reach me. And follow along on this journey as we go towards the world's toughest triathlon. It's coming up quick, but we still got enough time. We rocking, we rolling, along with some other fun stuff we have towards the end of 2026. So if you want to follow along on the journey, if you want to encourage, or if you need some health and wellness coaching, hit me up at Sully Luepke.
That's a wrap, baby.
Yes, sir.
Till next time.